Luke Coffey. He's director of the Douglas and Sarah Allison Center for Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation, and he joins us now from Washington, D.C. Mr. Coffey, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Firstly, can you tell us more about the steps Secretary Blinken is proposing to help jumpstart Afghanistan's stalled peace process?
In many ways, the Biden administration has hit the ground running, especially on domestic issues here in the United States, and also on some international issues such as climate change. But one area where we haven't learned very much about how the administration is going to react is with Afghanistan. President Biden inherited this peace plan from the Trump administration. Right now, there's only about 2,500 U.S. troops remaining in the country, and these troops are due to leave by May 1st, and the peace talks remain stalled. So this leaked letter from Secretary Blinken to President Ghani offers almost a unique insight to how this administration is going to approach and look at the problems in Afghanistan.
As you mentioned, former U.S. President Donald Trump did negotiate a deal to withdraw all 2,500 U.S. forces by May 1st. But the question is, will the Biden administration honor that agreement, you think?
Well, that remains to be seen. There are some who suspect that as the new president with the new administration and with the lack of seemingly the lack of commitment from the Taliban to fulfill its side of the bargain in terms of reducing the levels of violence, that President Biden has a good argument to extend the length of time that U.S. forces remain in Afghanistan past the May 1st deadline. Now, we would be in uncharted territory in terms of how this would impact the agreement, but one could make a reasonable argument that the U.S. could do this. With, of course, the welcome and support from the Afghan government. However, this letter looks like that the Biden administration really wants to jumpstart these negotiations, again, these intra-Afghan negotiations between the Afghan government and the Taliban, in the hopes that maybe they can get everything back on track. And I think that the administration thinks that Turkey can play a key role in doing so.
Seems that way as well. Mr. Coffey, last question to you. If U.S. troops were pulled out of Afghanistan by May 1st, how likely you think it is that a civil war could break out there?
Well, right now there's only 2,500 U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan, and they're mainly there to train and advise the Afghan security forces. For the most part, that's what they're doing. So right now, the Afghan military is really leading many of the combat operations from day to day against the Taliban in Afghanistan. So I think the bigger concern is not what the impact of U.S. troops leaving Afghanistan might be, but instead, will the U.S. remain committed to funding the Afghan security forces and supporting the Afghan security forces financially? And if we learned anything from Afghanistan in the early 1990s, when the international community abandons Kabul, that's when you have a major problem. That's when civil war breaks out. So I hope that whatever happens after May 1st, the U.S. and the international community remains committed, at least in a financial sense, to the Afghan people to help fund their armed forces.
I would have to leave there. Luke Coffey at the Heritage Foundation, thank you for your time once more.